G'day and welcome to See a Drive Again, and today we're lucky enough to be driving the all-new Ford FPV Force 8.
Having driven the Senator recently, I think it's a great opportunity for us to compare the two cars. We need to remember that the HSV Senator that we drove was the E-Series, which is a much more modern platform. It's a brand new platform. This is an ageing platform.
You're right, Trevor. It is a whole generation behind the new VE series of Commodores and, of course, the HSV Senator E-Series that we drove. But it's not a complete disappointment, and we'll have a look at some of the features that we were impressed by. Let's look at the handling. I found the handling maybe a little bit heavy, not as crisp and direct as I'd like, but the ride quality, although it's obviously stiff, you can see it's being thrown around a little bit in the cabin at the moment, it still comfortably soaks up much of the bumps and the uneven surfaces you encounter on Sydney roads.
Yeah, I think it's certainly got a sports quality ride in terms of the suspension. I mean, in a sports equipped vehicle like this, you're meant to feel the bumps like we're feeling now. And we're not on a racetrack here. We're on a country style road with a lot of potholes and things. Steering though, I expected something a lot lighter. Having not driven a lot of the Falcon range at all, I expected a much lighter steering because I felt the VE had come so far. But this, I was quite impressed with the steering.
I guess one aspect of this car where it really shows its age is the lack of some of the electronic gadgetry such as ESP, which in a performance car like this really is inexcusable. And
it's not just the big things like ESP, it's some simple little things like, do the lights turn off when you get out of the car? You know, these days, cars, when you turn off the car, they turn the lights off because they're preempting the stupid people that drive cars. There's no doubt about it. I'll tell you another silly little gripe that I have, and it really is silly, but the the centre console display has a night and a day mode. And as soon as you turn the lights on, it goes into night mode. I drive around with the lights on all the time. If I turn the lights on now, the dashboard flicks to black, and I just think, hang on, it's daytime. And I haven't found anywhere to configure that. Now, it's just a silly little thing, and that's the sort of thing that with software these days will be improved. It's the same as the stereo controls. There's 6 buttons to control the stereo. Now, with the preset stereo functions, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In the VE software, they've got 6 buttons, but they label them with the frequencies of the radio stations, and it's a simple little thing like that that I'm sure we'll see in the Orion series Falcon that's due out next year.
Yeah, it's a lot more user-friendly than the Commodore range, but there's little oddities in this cabin such as the fog lights behind the steering wheel. You can't see them.
You can't see the hazard light, you can't see the dimmer.
The petrol latch, you had an incident with the petrol latch.
I had no idea where the petrol latch was, and I had to discover that it's actually buried behind the steering wheel. There's a fair few things buried behind this steering wheel. The fog light button, as you say, it's just, I don't know, there's so much space on this dashboard that could easily fill with those functions and buttons. So, yeah, a very weird thing. I'll tell you what's a really good quality though from FPV, the start button. You know, you put the key in this car and you turn the key to the ignition, it turns on the electronics. But to start the car, you press a single button.
It's a nice touch, isn't it?
It's a nice touch, but it's also really good quality. It's funny, we talked about the quality of the MRC button on the Senator.
Yeah.
And I said, silly thing, but I think the button's actually poor quality. This is a nice solid piece of metal, and I just think it's actually a simple little piece of quality that FPV has put in the car.
Have they done enough though? Is it visually exciting enough? Does it distinguish itself from, you know, the normal taxi Falcon range?
I think it does only in part. I think the front end is outstanding. I really do. I think the front end design is absolutely outstanding in this car. The bumper, there's a grille inside the bumper and inside the bonnet. There's the scoop on the bonnet, the flares around the sides. The only thing I think that's weirdly lacking is the rear end. Now it's funny because the Senator, which we're comparing it to, also has a subtle rear end.
Yeah.
But I think it's because the HSV have done so much to change those rear tail lights, that it really does overstate itself, whereas this really does look like a Falcon from behind with a little tiny spoiler. So I think that's where they probably let themselves down, because you look at the GT and that's overstated, and I think it does well for the performance.
The twin tailpipes are a highlight on the rear. I find them to be quite attractive. I think they complete the overall look at the rear, but they could have done more. As you said, there's a tiny little lip spoiler. But at the end of the day, the Force range, there's of course the Force 6 and Force 8 range, aren't supposed to be the Larry, you know, out there sporty look at me.
Yep.
It's a more, you know, understated, you know, refined look. And if you're after that look, you buy a GT.
and I think this black is the way to go. I drove an orange GT, and that's that flary, Larry bloke sort of thing.
Let's talk about the actual performance, because this is a performance vehicle. I found with it's a 290 kilowatt engine, so when it's certainly not underpowered, I just found that for a car that's allegedly that powerful, the acceleration was quite sluggish, particularly off the mark.
I'll tell you what I find. I find the throttle response to be a little laggy. I think there's a little lag.
You need to give it a lot before you extract all that power.
If I put my foot down, I feel like it actually takes a second before I get that actual performance, and I would much prefer to feel like my foot is controlling the engine, not controlling a few components between here and there. It's like steering, And that's my only complaint about the car is that there's that lag in the throttle. But apart from that, I think it handles well, I think it drives well, and I'm very impressed with it.
Well, we've driven the Ford FPV Force 8 and we're reasonably impressed. We're not completely overwhelmed with excitement. One thing that we didn't mention was the fuel economy, which is a little bit over the odds of it.
Early on we were getting ridiculous numbers, but that was when we were giving it a bit. But in the last few days, when we've just had basic city driving, city and freeway combined, because we have the motorways in Sydney, and I certainly use them a lot, I think we've ended up with about 15.3, 15.4, which is, it's a lot.
You could easily see that go a lot higher if you were just pottering around the city. I mean, we did a lot of highway driving as well, which helps bring it back a little. But as I said, reasonably impressed. It's an attractive car. It's got, adequate features. It's got a nice, reasonably user-friendly layout in the dash. It seems to be quite well built. It does have that performance factor. It's a fast car, we will say that, but it's just not quite as exciting as you would expect from a vehicle that's 290 kilowatts, or boasts 290 kilowatts of power. It's not a car I'd buy. It's $71,000.
I don't think I don't think it has a big enough jump from a top of the line Falcon in terms of other than performance and basic styling. I don't think there's a big enough jump in here to make me want to spend that much money.
And the thing about this is that the V6 variant, that's the F6, and that's a turbo-powered vehicle, is actually quicker than this car and is a whole lot more exciting, I'm told. So why would you buy the V8? Why would you buy a Force 8? Would you get the Force 6? That would make more sense, given they're basically priced around the same mark. So overall, Trev, what do you reckon?
I'll give it a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. If you're a Ford fan looking for a performance car, I'd be test driving this for sure.
But with the knowledge that it's about to be superseded.
Yeah, well, that's a buyer beware, perhaps a smart buyer. What do you think?
I give it a 7 out of 10. And for me, it just didn't get the juices flowing, really. We're in a performance vehicle. I just looked for a little bit more, and I didn't get that with this particular offering from Ford. But at the end of the day, I'm sure you Ford fans out there who are after performance and who are dedicated to the brand and loyal will enjoy what they've come up with in this vehicle. This has been the new Ford FPV Force 8, and you've just seen it drive.